Recording in three, two. What's up, Naomi? How's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
I mean, we both just got our coffee.
Mm,
What happened to you this morning?
My Nespresso blew up.
How, how does that happen? Break it down to me.
The more I say it, the more ludicrous it sounds.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was working fine. It's done its thing. It's served me for a good 2 years. And then all of a sudden this morning, it just started like overheating, like the motor sound just going like, "Arr, arr," and then it started blinking like orange on it. And I was like, oh my God, what's going on? I touch it and it is hot. It is really, really hot. And I was like, oh geez, okay. It's winter here in New York. So opened up the window, tried putting it like near there. It was not cooling down. I don't know. On TikTok, I keep seeing descaling as like the new trend. So I was like, oh, maybe my Nespresso wants to be descaled. I don't know. Tried running that. That worked, as in like it took my descaling situation and then it just kept overheating and it was getting so hot to the point that I couldn't touch it. So immediately unplugged, did same day Target pickup, and I am waiting for it to be ready to go. And in the meantime, I had to pick up local coffee. So if you hear some ice shaking, I'm caffeinating.
How do you take your coffee?
I usually go black, but today I needed it's Valentine's Day. I kind of wanted a sweeter note, so I threw in
Okay.
some Splenda.
I know. So wait, I'm just samesies, but like, isn't it funny when you like throw in like a little dab of like, you know what I mean? Like some Splendor, like a little dab
Yeah, I
of
was
milk.
like, I'm like, just a touch of cream. And he was like, how much? I was like, skin color, like just touch. And then he was like, okay. And so he kind of came through. It's like a little bit like, not, it's a little bit lighter than what I would normally go for, but it's all good.
Yeah.
But
That's
I think
cool.
the funniest part though is when I only want one Splenda. I put like half to one packet in like a medium size, and instead they leave me with so many. I literally have like, see, I get like
Collecting them.
packets of them, and then I have like six sitting in like my jacket pocket right now because that's how many the guy gave me. I don't know who
What?
puts like more than like one in their drink. Kind of gross.
I don't
Mhm.
put, but I mean, I know for when it comes to sweet tea, I put a lot of stuff, like, you know what I mean?
Oh, it's
But
sweet tea. It's like in
yeah,
the name.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. But okay, so real quick about the Nespresso thing, did it break, or you just started it overheated and then it boom? Like,
I
does
think I
everybody else have
fried
to
it.
look out for that?
I think I fried it. Literally, I think I fried it. I don't know what else I
Uh,
did because also when like how it opens up at the top like this,
mhm.
the inside, the metal is like a dark brown. Like it looks like I roasted the metal somehow, and I'm like very confused.
Google it. Not
Yeah,
now, but
a
like, you
little
know what I
bit
mean? Like,
behind.
wait, whenever you can and be like, hey, did I fry it or whatever, kind of thing.
Yeah,
That's interesting. Huh. Okay.
I'm hoping that something will be there.
Yeah. And then you're open now, right?
Yes. Wait, when was this? What is today? Tuesday? Last
This is
Wednesday. Last Wednesday was my opening day.
Man, well, in another episode, we talk about your exact first day and we dive into it. But how do you feel?
I feel really good. I'm happy. Like, I think last week was like a whirlwind. I hardcore crashed on like Saturday night and like caught up on sleep. I don't think I realized how intense everything was the past
Yeah.
week. I feel so much better now. Like, I'm feeling better. Like, systems are coming into place. Like, we're figuring out our rhythm. We're going to start ground marketing tomorrow. We're going to like a bunch of, we kind of close the office just to like start going around and, saying hello to everybody. So I'm excited.
That's good. So
Yeah.
the night before, were you able to sleep and stuff, or were you more like, when did you sleep the night before?
Um, I oddly enough, okay, so I have a consultant, and so she came that the 2 days before opening and just
Mm.
like trained us like basically from like 8:30 till 4:30. So I didn't really have time to do anything. Like just get I was still getting supplies. Like as she was like training us, like the supplies from Patterson were like still coming in. And so I was like, I'm not booking any patients on my opening day.
That's right. You
I
said that, yeah.
and I know that's like so weird, but like I am so happy I did that. And we saw our first ones on like Thursday, and I think we've seen six so far, considering we've only been open for like 2, 3 days. And then so far we have like 13 to 15 booked out, like for the next like couple of weeks. So it's going and I'm happy.
So your opening day, you didn't see nobody.
Purposely.
Okay.
I Yeah, I scheduled nobody. I refused. We took the phone calls. We made it seem like we were fully booked that day. And then instead I just organized the crap out of this place. Like I walked in at least the next day and I felt so good. And like the idea of like a first day was like gone. And I just like kind of went into business, but I was so much happier. But I had like I'm kind of glad I also didn't. I had family and friends like come and surprise me with like hellos, bringing their kids. And so I think the day was just like taken with that, plus like setting the office up. And so I wouldn't change it. I was also drinking champagne towards the end of the day.
Mimosas in the morning, fuzzy navels throughout the day. That would have been a good day. Yeah, I would have done that
It
too.
was a great first day.
I know it was the best first day. Everybody needs to do that. Okay, got you. So
Perfect.
then it was all of it was more, I guess you can say, mindset that it wasn't the first day because technically your first day was the day you saw patients, right?
Yeah, I guess technically Thursday was. My first patient, he was like a 4-year-old. So in case you don't remember, I have like a pediatric therapy group like right across the hallway from me. And I've been getting like a lot of like inquiries from them just because when parents are coming out into the hallway, where the elevator is, to the right is them and to the left is me. So you kind of can't miss us like the moment you walk out of their doors. And so one of them, this first patient came from there and he was like a 4-year-old with a lot of sensory issues. He wasn't probably the best first patient to start with. He was a lot, but it was like a good like wake up call. I was like, oh, okay, so if this happens again, how are we going to do this? So I was able to like talk to Beatrice, who is like my front desk slash assistant, and we figured things out like a little bit better. But he definitely he woke us up.
Like this is for real. Okay,
Like,
interesting.
yeah. He came in and just like ran.
Oh, really? He just started running around?
Oh, he went insane. Like all I could do on him was an exam. I couldn't even get a cleaning done. I felt so defeated. I was like, did I just open up an office and I have a kid I can't even do a cleaning on? Like, what?
Are you gonna do a cleaning on him or no?
Mhm.
Oh.
So I actually reached out to his therapist across the hall, and I've been talking with mom just to kind of implement more of like desensitizing visits like with them. His sensory issues, he actually doesn't allow anyone near here. So like
Uh,
rushing at home is hard and all that stuff. And mom is really adamant about like not traumatizing him, which I get. So we're just gonna try to before things get like busier here, we're gonna work with her to like maybe have their therapy appointments part of it like over here. And so yeah, we're gonna just see how it goes. But I think it's gonna be important because if things go decently well with him or mom is like at least happy with how he's progressing, it would be a
mhm.
good idea to like get something going with the therapy group across the hall. Cause I'm sure that there's like a lot of kids right now with those sort of issues.
Mom doesn't want to traumatize it.
Yeah, like as in like pin him down and like all that stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That could be.
Yeah.
I can
And
see it.
like,
I can see it. Yeah.
I mean, I'm used to it. Like I can just do it like really quickly. I just want to make sure things are not going on. But like I get where she's coming from, like because this is a sensory issue that they're really trying to like fix out. So
Yeah.
before things get like really bad, let's just try to desensitize him.
Did your parents ever have to do stuff like that to you, like growing up, where like you know what I mean, like they're big vapor rub or anything kind of weird?
Probably.
You know, if you're not traumatized, you don't remember it. Then you're right. They probably did it. Maybe they did. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? They also
Okay.
probably didn't tell me, but I was a very bratty child, so I would not be surprised.
You're like, I deserved it. I did that. Okay, gotcha.
Mm.
Interesting. So in this episode, we're gonna be talking about Beatriz.
Yes.
Is that your only employee or no?
Yeah,
You have
right
okay,
now. Yeah.
right now, yeah, yeah, yeah. But we're talking about hiring and onboarding your team, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
real quick, was it because your consultant is Jean, right? Jean St.
Yes.
Louis. Is
Yeah.
she the one who came up with like the salary and the job requirement and description, or you did?
Um, she kind of gave me like bullet points about what my first employee should really be. And we just had like a realistic discussion about like budgets and all that stuff. Like she basically what she does is she creates like budgets for everything. Dental supplies and all that sort of stuff. She gave me a certain amount that we were going to try to keep for this entire year. The goal is obviously to bring on an assistant at some point. So we had to like take on Beatrice's like salary as
Mhm.
like, okay, I'm keeping her at first, but say midsummer when hopefully we'll be busier, do we have enough budget to bring on an assistant on the days that we're here? So it's like little things like that that we had to just like kind of have a talk about. Um, and then I just kind of like I took Beatrice more as like a front desk slash assistant. And
Mhm.
so I'm letting her decide whenever we get to that point what direction she kind of wants to go. I see her more as like admin, but like if at the end of the day she cares more about like being with the patients, then I'm not going to stop her there. But that kind of took into play like the salary, what my benefits to her were going to be, and all of that.
What is the budget for the whole entire year then?
I think 56,000
Okay.
was how much we put aside, 56 or 58. I forget the exact number, but it's so we basically I started her off at 21 an hour, and then I gave her a stipend as well. So Beatrice travels in order to get here with me from like New York. So, like the train rides and all that stuff can like add up. So we're giving her an additional 450, I think. Yeah, 450 a month to basically like use at her discretion. And so when you take all of that into account, like per month with the hours that we expect her to work, it's coming out to almost $25 an hour.
So this is average, above average, or
This is above average, at
I
least
think
like
so.
yeah, in this area. Obviously like she's doing a lot for me. Like she's taking on, I'm not trying to get someone who's like, going to be with me only for a few months. Like it's already
Mhm.
stressful dealing with all of this, and like she's going to be like my rock at least in like this first year. So anything I
Yeah.
can do, like at least help her. That's my goal. And if I grow, I've already told her she's going to grow too. So yeah, and then Beatrice and I have a interesting history. So we knowing what she made at her prior job, this was definitely much better for sure. This is at least like almost 1.5 times more than what she was making at her prior job.
What,
She was
what
making
was
17.
17?
Hmm.
Okay. So
Yeah.
like how I did that, I wasn't even trying to do the math. I was just like, let me see if she'll tell me if I look up and like think about
Like,
it
she's
and
like,
everything.
"Do, do, do,
Yeah. Should I
do,
act like I'm doing the math before? Okay, so she was making 17, which is still, I mean, it's so, I don't know. What's the normal range around there actually?
So this was in New York, and 17 is like not that much. Like the minimum wage in New York is 15.
Uh,
So she'd been with this particular office for 2 years. So the fact that that was still her salary is like kind of crazy. In my old job in Connecticut, I know that the assistant, sorry, actually, funny you mentioning her. She just texted me.
your assistant?
Sorry. My old assistants at like my
Oh.
old job, they were making between 22 to 25, and they had been there for a couple of years. So usually you would expect growth like to a certain amount, but yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. I thought you meant your old assistant right now just texted you. I was like, what a
Oh, no, no,
coincidence.
sorry, Beatrice. My
Oh,
doors are
Beatrice.
closed. So
Oh,
she
okay,
was like,
gotcha,
hey,
gotcha.
do you have something in there? She
Okay,
pops
gotcha.
through, who that is.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Awesome. Okay, so she's been with you for how long?
Me and her have been working. So I stole Beatrice from my old job in New York. Um, I mean, I'm sure you guys have, if you don't remember, me and my old job in New York don't have like a really good history. They're screwing me over with like a paycheck and stuff. So
Mhm.
whatever. Um, Beatrice like kind of was miserable at the job. Was what sucks is like they were getting say 17 an hour, but there was like absolutely no benefits besides like overtime.
Mm.
And like, the hours were just like really insane, and like it just wasn't like a really good work environment. Beatrice and I like developed a really good like relationship, not just like a friendship, but also like a doctor front desk sort of vibe. We like just knew how to like work together really well with our demeanors. I just got to a point that like I was keeping an eye out. Like that's when Jean and I had just started talking about like who I should be looking for, when I should start like putting out ads. And it just happened to be around the time that she was starting to mention how miserable she was and she wanted to start looking for another job. I didn't know she would be open to the travel. Like the office is like a 40-minute drive from her
Mhm.
place, or if she takes like the subway, it's like it's longer, it's like an hour. So I wasn't really sure which direction she would go, but she like hopped on board, and she's like been like really great and like a huge asset since the beginning.
That's nice. So
Yeah.
then rewind a little bit. You mentioned um Gene told you when should you start putting out ads and who should you be looking for?
Yeah, so
How,
Jean's like requirements, or not requirements, but like suggestions were really that like you want to find someone in your first employee who has a little bit of the dental experience, and that's going to be really essential. You can always teach someone like a front desk. You can always like teach someone like how to maybe work with you to assist. But the biggest thing is they need to have a little bit of dental knowledge, because to enter this space and have zilch is going to be really, really difficult. So she was like finding someone who was an assistant who would take on the task, or someone who was like dental office front desk who would still be able to do that. What's going to be important, you need someone who was able to do the front and the back as your first employee. um because that was like a little bit more of like a particular requirement. um it's what lent itself to a better hourly pay. So you wanted to try to find someone at least like you wanted to start like putting out feelers about like 8 weeks before opening.
mm,
So my opening was February 8th. She was suggesting to start putting it out like mid-December, like around the 14th, 15th. She said
mhm.
the hardest part though is Christmas time and the holidays was going to be difficult, like just to find someone. But usually then early January is when people are like, I want a fresh start. I want something new. So people are going to probably bite a little bit more at that time. And that was the game plan until Beatrice and I started talking a little bit more.
Okay, okay. So look for someone with dental experiences, right? Or experience, and then putting out ads 8 weeks before.
Yeah.
Okay. How did that look? How did the job requirement, the ad, and everything in the placement go?
So I had it set up that I was going to be doing Indeed first.
Hmm.
And then I was actually, where did I read this? I think it might have been on one of the Facebook groups, and I thought it was a brilliant idea. It was trying to use your social networks for internal marketing. So like, hey, I am looking for, I don't know, I'll just say dental assistant, or I'm looking for my first employee. If you have like anyone that you like really suggest, like please let me know, like send me over like their resume or give me their contact. If I land up hiring, I'm gonna give blah gift card to you. So like over the
Oh,
yeah. And I thought that was like such a great incentive, because usually when people post this, I'm like, why would I go out of my way? Next. But
I
like
love you.
you incentivize me with like a $200 Visa gift card, like hello, I'll like give you
Oh,
names in the book.
I don't know why I was thinking like, here's a $5 gift card for
Right.
Starbucks. I'd be like, cool, 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 $5.
Yeah.
So you use your social networks.
Yeah, that's how originally I was going to be starting. So I was
Hmm.
all set to like go do this. And so yeah.
What was going to be your incentive?
I think the Visa gift cards are just great. I hate like, I
Hmm.
don't know, I'm personally like the type that's like, I don't know the person. So Target might not be their thing. It might be Walmart, or I don't know. So give them a Visa gift card, let them have fun with
Yeah. Target would be my thing. Yeah, not Walmart. Just letting
it.
you know right now, Target is my. No, I'm just kidding.
Got it.
Got it. Are you writing this
Are
down?
you like a Starbucks person as well?
Yeah, I'm an any coffee person. So, but okay. So using your social, but you didn't have to do that, right? Is that your plan for? Are you already thinking about the next
Yeah.
person?
Yeah. So one of the things I'm kind of realizing with working with Beatrice, and listen, I think right now we only have like 13 patients like really booked over these next couple of weeks. However, that we have one who I think is going to be an op for sure. And I was just like, we've been struggling a little bit, like when I'm training her in the back about like how to use like some of the equipment, we're missing like phone calls like in the front, or like some like interactions. I do think not right away, but like as I start to like build out like my patients and like kind of seeing what the ops, I was telling Beatrice, like, let's see if we can. I don't know how flexible the parents are still in my area, but if I have one day, like a week, that I could like put all my ops in, maybe I could find someone who's willing to just come in on that one particular day and just be the assistant, and like kind of take it from there and then grow with us as like we're growing. So little things like that, like I'm noticing she needs to be kind of by her computer a little bit more, like with all the interactions like we kind of have been going on, both like on email, like for example, sending out claims, like we've been having like issues, but it takes time to talk to like Open Dental and like Casper and like all of that stuff. Like, so we're missing out on like some of that prime time because she's like in the back.
Gotcha. How is that technology right now? I know this is going to be another question for another episode, but like, I just want to know how's the technology holding up now compared to
Good.
when you before you were opening?
I'm still getting used to some stuff. Open Dental, they're fantastic. Like their support is like unreal. Like they call you, they walk us through it, and they understand insurances, so they're like helping us like discern things. Um, so I'm loving it. Like I'm very happy with both Casper as well as Open Dental. Uh, the one thing I'm like a little bit surprised by, and it might just be because like I might be confused myself. Unlock the PPO has
Mhm.
been wonderful. They've gotten me really great fees, and like I'm just like waiting now to get credentialed. However, anytime I'm running into like an issue, like with insurances where I'm a little bit confused, I didn't realize how frustrating it would be that they don't have a phone number that I can just call. I always have to like email them. Yeah, and like little details like that. And then if it's like patient specific stuff, like for example, I'm Delta Dental Premier only, I'm not PPO. It's a little bit confusing when we're trying to figure out like our claims because Delta Dental Premier, one of the annoying parts or additionally annoying parts about Delta Dental
Uh,
is they don't give you a fee schedule. So you're figuring out what your fees are through Delta Dental Premier as you're sending out claims. Fine, I get that, but like I'm getting claims rejected. I'm getting like my pre-auths rejected, and I'm just like a little bit confused as to like what the setup is. Anytime I reach out to them, I'm getting deferred. And like I just think they're they've gotten me to a certain point, and I think now I'm realizing support wise, like now that I'm open is not as strong. So it's just something to take into consideration. I know a couple people have like mentioned it like on posts and all that stuff. With that being said, I'm beyond happy with everything up until this point. I just didn't realize like the support option is like not as strong.
for unlock the PPO.
Mhm.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. I never knew that. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay. We'll dive into that a little bit deeper. But
Yeah.
real quick, do you do or did you plan to do or does Gene recommend or anything like that to do any personality tests?
Yeah. So actually, I had like just personally as like the owner, I had one full like leadership training day with like one of her
Hmm.
staff, like one of her other consultants. And in that I was supposed to take like a personality thing, the Myers-Briggs. Like I think I was ESFP, I think. I'm trying to remember. But when we had me and Beatrice had our training with Jean for those 2 days before opening, she made Beatrice take it just so that we could like kind of figure it out. And the reason she is very big on it is she says right now, Beatrice and I, we're a team. We're going to get to the point that like we don't even have to like verbally say stuff to each other just because we kind of know how we work. So Beatrice, for example, is ISNP, I think. Um, so we're a little bit different, but we
Hmm.
work well together. However, if we bring on a third member, we need to make sure like they might be great, but their personality and their type might not work well with our dynamic and our like letters or our personality letters and stuff. So she
Yeah.
was like, just being aware of that is actually going to be important because bringing on a third person, it's actually going to change things. That third person is going to be probably the most difficult person to bring into the crew because you have like two people and now you're bringing a third person in. A fourth person, not so much because they have like other people they can bounce off of, but it's going to be
Yeah.
important for you guys to kind of know what's going on.
Oh, okay. So you guys took the Myers-Briggs test
Yeah.
and then let me ask, can it change? Can
You
like
know,
you're like ENTJ or whatever, and then it just changes, and then do you believe that or no?
yes, I think so. Because I think like part of your personality is also like I don't know, it depends on how much work that you do on yourself. So I could see myself like possibly like changing on like certain things. Not that one is bad and one is the other, but it might just be the way like my mind is starting to like operate and how I view outcomes. I will say though, I think that first letter, the introverted extrovert, I don't know how much that would change. With that
Mm.
said though, I do wish that there were percentages
Oh
associated
yeah, yeah, yeah,
with this
yeah. Oh, there's
because
not.
no, at least the one that she made us take, I didn't see any percentages, but
No.
I have taken like tests like in the past where like for example, I'm like 52% extrovert and like 48% introvert. Like I'm
Hmm.
very, very 50, almost 50-50. So it's I never know which one I'm gonna get when I take these Myers-Briggs ones. They've consistently been E, so
Nice.
um,
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, I'm like I'm borderline, so maybe I'm borderline on this other stuff.
We are
Yeah,
documenting you on a podcast, so I mean, it's kind of,
fair enough.
and you're
I guess
kind
the
of,
key is checking out.
yeah, it is a little bit extroverted, but I do, I agree with you. I think it changes, right? We're so complex as a
Yeah.
human being, so I feel like it. For example, you and Beatrice, right? They have the same. I mean, y'all mesh together, right?
Mm.
If you bring someone else in and then you do their test and then they're like, oh my gosh, we're gonna clash. I think their mindset right now, when they come in with you, is we're gonna clash because that's their mindset, right? Not so much like this is who I am as a person, but that's their mindset. It will take time for them to adjust, but you don't have that time, kind of thing, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't have that time. I don't have a year to make you try and adjust to us. You know what I mean? Kind of thing.
Oh, I
Break your
didn't
traits.
think about that. Yeah, that's actually really true. Like they could adapt to us, but it's not going to be like immediate. And like that's why I'm getting you. I need something more immediate.
Yeah. So I always think it's just more like I don't know. That's my opinion, but whatever. You know what I mean? Because I feel like I'm the same with you. Some days I'm like, today I'm 99% introvert. Like this is it. This is the day. You're like, and people say hi, and I'm like,
Hey,
you just kind of you don't even
yeah,
you
very
don't even want to say hi. Like at the
bad.
gym, they're like, hey, welcome to the gym. When you're working out, nothing. You know, you just walk away. Then some days you're like, what's up? And then
Hello.
yeah, it's I don't know. Do you feel like that or no?
Yeah, 100%. Like what I was telling you on like Saturday, I crashed. I wanted nothing to do with anyone. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I didn't want to text. I actually put my phone on airplane mode for all of Saturday. Like I think 5 o'clock onwards. I was like, I don't want human interaction. I just want to sit with my blanket, like on the couch, watching like reality TV and like not feeling like bad, like at all about
Yeah.
anything.
Is that your thing? Reality TV?
Yeah, I know. 90 Day Fiance.
Oh, I just be
It
me
is
and my wife used to be super
so
into that.
It is so good. Like, oh my gosh. And now they just came out with like a new one where it's the American going to the international like lovers spot. And so I'm just enjoying myself. And then Family Karma on Bravo.
Oh, okay. I never even heard of that one. But
It's Indian like reality TV, but like Bravo style. So it's kind of amusing.
that's cool. Okay, good. That's good to know. Okay, so then real quick, before we jump into the onboarding part of this, did you
Mhm.
contact the previous employer?
Um, through lawyers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How
I
did that
mean,
go?
it's going. Like, I think right now it's just dealing with like demand letters and stuff. And then I'm gonna decide like which course of action to take depending on like the response. It just all
Oh,
happened this week. So,
I
but
mean,
I
wait,
not
what do you
say
mean all happened last? I mean,
had
like, did you contact them like, hey, I'm taking Beatrice?
no, no, sorry. I thought you were
Oh.
talking about the salary issue.
Wait,
No.
what is the salary issue?
Oh, they haven't paid me for any of my time and this they owe me like over $7,000.
What? They haven't paid you. You're still working for them?
No, no. I quit that job like end of December. I think I
Yeah, you told
did.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. They haven't paid me.
And
And I've contacted them like multiple times, like asking for like my paycheck and like all that stuff. And I threatened even at that time to use a lawyer and I just got silence. So
so did you get a lawyer?
yeah.
Would it come out more expensive with lawyer fees?
That's why I'm sending demand letter first. And then from there I'm gonna decide what to do. The problem is like I don't know how to say this, but I could and I would probably do well on like my case, but like you're right, 7,000 versus like lawyer fees, like it's not really like worth it. But I have a lot of like stuff on them with like insurance issues, like state board dental issues and everything. So there's different tracks that I could go with
Oh,
them.
so you can be like, hey, just kidding. Now it's 70,000 kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Well, now I'm getting to the point of like the 7,000. I'm just angry enough that I want to not destroy them, but be like, dude, I don't understand like what you're doing, but like I have enough ammo on you and I'm happy to just I all I have to do is just send a letter to like the Medicaid or like state dental board and like Department of Labor.
Yeah.
Why are we going down this route?
Yeah.
You're
Uh,
gonna be owing way more than what you pay me, but that's on them,
huh,
not my problem.
that's true. Yeah. How much are you willing to let it go?
Mm, you mean like not send a letter?
Yeah, just to be like, just to say like, man, this 7,000. Hopefully one day I'll get paid. If not,
I
oh well.
truthfully, I'm already kind of there because like whatever my business has started, like I have other things to
Hmm.
like focus on. But I'm angry enough that like I just kind of want to send this letter off in the mail and then let it do its thing. And I just like kind of walk away from it.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I'm like giving up on like the financial part. Like it was a little bit hard, I won't lie, at first, just because when I quit that job, I didn't have like a salary coming in. And I was part of my budgeting was like relying on that money to pay like
Hmm.
my rent for like I live in New York City for
Yeah.
like, it was
Isn't it like
supposed to be
10,000 a month?
it's like crazy here. So
Yes.
that helps me. But like at the end of the day, like hopefully this business will succeed. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I was just wondering. I mean, like I would be a super mega upset. You know what I mean? I'd be like, man, give me like
Yeah.
7,000 bucks,
I
dude.
know it's like not it's so dumb. Like I don't know why you just like wouldn't pay me and we can both move on, but
Yeah.
whatever. It's on them. They haven't even sent me my tax info.
Oh, right.
And
Well, they
I'm like,
need to contact you then.
I
So
know.
they have
So I'm
to.
like, hello, like taxes are due soon. You guys have to send me something.
Yeah. Well, you will talk. That's like the law, right? Or else they'll give
I
you.
know.
Okay.
So and we'll
Okay.
find out. Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay. So when onboarding,
Mm,
once you told Beatrice, hey, I want to hire you, how
yeah.
did you onboard them?
So HR for Health is who I'm using for like HR stuff. So she had to fill out all that paperwork. Through there was also like just like a couple of documents that I wanted to make sure she understood about like office policies and everything. So that was all
Mhm.
figured out like a couple of weeks like before hiring. Once that was taken into play, we weren't physically in the office space. It was still like I had a flood, so there was still like build out stuff, but it was a
Mhm.
prime opportunity since she had never used any of the softwares that I had hired or that I brought on, like Open Dental, Casper. There's so many onboarding moments that like need to be had like prior to opening, both like with equipment, software, like training on the credit card machines, like all of that sort of stuff. I made her do that in those 2 weeks before like opening. So I think the first day my onboarding was to watch all the open dental modules, let me know if she had any specific questions. And I also gave her access to the computers here. So she was able to remotely like try out open dental while like going through the modules.
Mhm.
Um, and she just had to send us like a checklist of like when she like did stuff. And then that lasted like about 40, like I think 2 days. And then the following week, I kind of had her start making like a list of like all, for example, like the local schools, like just like little things here and there that could only be done virtually. Then when we physically started coming into the space, that's like when we started talking about like phone scripts, like how are we going to be doing XYZ? Like that was like sort of my onboarding process. Like, let me get you comfortable with like the digital stuff, since some stuff that's out of my control in person. Let me show you how we're going to be putting the instruments. Like this is the flow that I want. Like when you're answering like insurance questions, since we're still waiting to be credentialed, this is how I want you to talk. We sat down like for an entire morning, came up with like phone scripts. I showed her how to calculate insurances, like with deductibles and copays and like blah blah blah. So there was like a lot that was like happening on those fronts. And she was
When
taking her own notes.
Okay, that's good. That's good. When it came
Yeah.
down to that, when it came down to like, this is how I want you to do this, this is how, was there any like where she's kind of like, well, this is a little bit better, or do you think this is better? You know what I mean? Kind of like that script doesn't actually work, or no.
I actually asked for her input quite a bit because like I talk a certain way in my mind. I'm like, oh, this is how it should work. But at the old job,
Yeah.
like she was like sitting at the front desk. She like handled this sort of stuff.
Hmm.
Granted, it's a whole different patient population that she was dealing with, but I was basically going at it like, listen, my goal for this script is for you to, like, for example, I think we spoke about it last time, but like I'm not credentialed with all the insurances quite
Hmm.
yet.
Hmm.
I'm still like waiting to go through that process. So how do we tell parents that, hey, come to us? I'm not technically in network, but like we're going to be. So I said, like, that was my goal with this script. This is like what I came up with. Read it. What do you think?
Hmm.
then I would just like listen to her. She's like, "Oh yeah, doc, that makes sense." Or like, "Oh, that's a little confusing. Like, wait, can you clarify this?" And
Mm,
so we would just kind of have those dialogues. And then when I would hear her tell parents this, I was like, "Oh, I didn't like that as much actually." Like, "Wait, Beatrice, what do you think about like changing this up?" And so it was just like constant like back and forth, but I was like listening while she would talk, and then we would both like make adjustments. But she definitely like with she's had a lot of experience with dental exchange. I have had zilch. So like how to like maneuver them, how to talk with them, how to like even speak to the support team. She's like dealt with all of that. And I kind of let her take the reins.
mhm. Gotcha. When it came to HR for health,
hmm
scale from 1 to 10, 10 being like, I would have never done it without them. One being like, I don't even know why I got them. Where would you say they came in?
7.5 to 8.
Okay, so pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah, like so I mean, I haven't had any issues, right? Like who knows in the future, like with any employees. They were
Mhm.
very I worked with Scott Mueller, I believe. Yeah, Scott Mueller, through Gene was my connect. And he was very good about like I think the pricing is like 150 a month for
Mm,
like 1 to 4 employees. You can their platform, at least I haven't had any other HR experience, but like the check-in, check-out process, everything was digital. It was just like both for me as well as Beatrice, it's been like very easy on that front. Um, I got hooked up then to speak with someone about like handbooks as well as like how to use like the platform. Getting to the point of like creating my handbook was like really easy, but then the communication like kind of got a little bit like when I was finalizing things. Um Apparently the girl that was doing my handbook had a medical issue for 2 or 3 weeks, but like it wasn't communicated to us. So me and Jean kept being like, "Where's the handbook? Where's the handbook?" And like they just like weren't telling us, and that was like a little bit frustrating because I wanted Beatrice to have it like
mhm, mhm.
before like we were opening and everything. But outside of just like that one issue, they've been like really, really good so far. And like they even spoke to Beatrice if she had any questions, needed help with like anything. She contacts them like if any problems. So far I'm happy.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, because I think
So,
the other one is like Cedar, CEDR, I
oh
think.
yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's the other bigger one, but they were like definitely more expensive.
Gotcha. So
Like
HR for health, they created your handbook. You just gave them key points and stuff like that, or what?
so they, I guess, like kind of have a template. And
Mhm.
like they were like, these are things that you need to look for. And then they were like, what do you want? Like, what are benefits you do want to give? What are things you don't want to give? This is what we advise with startups. And the good thing about a handbook is that it consistently keeps on changing. So it's not like set in stone, but like I can go back to my benefits and be like, oh, actually, this is like what I want. Um, so they were very good with like looking into what Connecticut's rules were, like what I was allowed to do, what I wasn't allowed to do. Like Ashley, who was the one that helped me with like my handbook, she was really great about like, listen, like I've done a lot of startups, like usually I don't recommend this, like, or give like this much waiting period for something like this. You have to protect yourself, like things like that. That were just like really good like pieces of advice.
Gotcha. Okay. So 150 a month.
Yeah, yeah. And she
If
like
you,
reeled me in.
yeah, okay, that's good. If you were to take away the, like, let's just say I don't want HR for health, what comes, like, I guess, what do they take away, or do they let you keep
So I get to
everything?
keep a handbook.
Hmm.
Um, all they even do like the offer letters and everything for my employees. I didn't think I would lose access to any of that sort of stuff. But I think besides the handbook, that's really physically all I would really get back from them. And then I would just have to figure out what I'm going to be using for clocking in and clocking out.
Oh, so they do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Beatrice just has it on her platform. She just clocks in from there and she can adjust things like afterwards. And I always have to approve it. And then I just run the payroll like from there and bring it to QuickBooks.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so HR for health is pretty legit. They're pretty
hmm
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was impressed.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, do you assign? Are you planning to assign each team member a daily checklist? And if so, what does it consist of? Like, what does Beatrice's daily checklist consist of?
Yeah. So what we decided is I'm not here at the office like every single day. So Monday, Tuesday, and most Fridays, I guess you could say,
Mhm.
we're working on just like anything that needs to be done more immediately, like insurances, talking with patients, like figuring out equipment stuff, all of that sort of stuff. But on the days I'm not there, that's when she can deal with like the insurances, all those phone calls that like, take forever. Just like all those like annoying questions sort of stuff. So we
Hmm.
decided like her admin days are going to be those Wednesdays and Thursdays. All more immediate patient care related tasks, those need to be done on the days that I'm there. And then me and
Okay.
her will like we'll talk about things that she needs me there for. So she'll always let me know, like, hey doc, like I this is not something I can do without you. So like, can we do it on like a day that you're here?
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So she has a daily checklist then for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then does each team member have like a specific goal in your mind? Like does Beatrice have a specific goal every single week or every day?
So at the moment, for her, there isn't really any specific goals. We did, so when Jean came, we kind of told her, like, from a financial goal point for the office, if we reach our goals for that month and we have like a performa and what we're trying to like reach, then there will be like a bonus eventually at some point. Like, I just don't know if we're going to reach those goals, but if so, like, it might not be that Visa gift card, but I would be taking her for like a nice lunch or things like that. Or I've like said multiple times to her, like, if I'm growing and if I'm reaching my goals, you are 100% going to grow with me. That's just my personal philosophy.
Hmm.
I want people who want to work for me and like want to work for the business. And I feel that oftentimes, like, I don't want someone to feel like I'm taking them for granted because I recognize to get to these goals is not easy for anyone. And so if we're profitable, like, I'm hoping that I can share some of that like with them. But
Gotcha.
uh Jean implemented certain goals also for like Beatrice. And I think a lot of them are more like system driven goals, like kind of like getting her into the awareness of how much the office is like spending, the
Mm.
realistic nature of like what my loans are, how much I paid for XYZ, so that she's just like more aware that this is not just like, oh, I decided to order some equipment. Oh, I just decided to do this. Like that, like Naomi took out like a crap load of money to like
Yeah.
make this happen. She's going to start owing this much in rent. Like, look, this is like almost $10,000 in rent. How are we going to get all of this like into her plate? So like she even made Beatrice like calculate, like, if Naomi is not working for 10 minutes, how much does that add up to be? And it's $48 like per hour. And so she was like, see, that's like, she's sitting around for 30 minutes. That's like almost $200 or like $150. That's like missing. So it was like the awareness part that like I think
Hmm.
Jean was like really, really great at like making her understand what she's like dealing with. And so she's been really good about like just trying to like get patients in. Like whenever they're calling, she's very communicative. And like hopefully that through that word of mouth, as like the practice grows, it's going to be good for us.
Yeah. That's super good. Like letting them be aware. You know what I mean? Because it's like it
Yeah.
feels good whenever you're just like chilling with your employee and talking and stuff like that. You're like, I love this job. But if you're like, why are you talking to me for an hour and then we're going to lunch right after this? I don't get it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Kind of thing. But
Yeah, exactly. So I I think that's like a really good awareness thing that I want to implement on like future employees as well. Like, listen, I'm trying to do my best. I have $750,000 in loan because of this office.
yeah. 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 Yeah.
I want this to work. I'm willing to give you this much, but we need to like
Yeah.
uh, because like when Beatrice saw the numbers, you should have seen her eyes. She was like it was massive. She's like, she looked at me, she's like, that's what you paid. So now whenever we do an Amazon order, she's like, Doc, are you sure you want to pay $8 for that clipboard? I'm like, but it's pretty. And she was like, do you really need it?
It's pretty. Dude. She's all like nickel and diamond pens and everything.
Yeah,
That's
so
good
she's
though.
all about that. Yeah. So it's good. It's
Hmm.
really good.
You want that person to do that. Okay, awesome. So then do you, oh, wait, real quick, what system driven goals did Gene give?
So Jean has like first she has like all of
Hmm.
our overall goals, but she has like paperwork in place as well as like reports that are done like bi-weekly and monthly that it's a little bit cumbersome. It seems like a lot for just like two people like right now, but like once Beatrice hope might like hopefully she steps away eventually from the front desk and takes on like a different role. It's to kind of like get other people like on board with like what the practice is like actually making. So like little things like documenting how many patients are like coming in from like emergencies into conversions into like actual new patients. I want you to document like the treatment for this. This is a worksheet that I want you to use. It's little systems like that, not to like put more tasks on Beatrice, but it's just more to like, okay, we only saw like 5 new patients. Oh, all those limited exams, none of them converted to new patients. What is going on? And
Mhm.
so she's like, now when she's like running the reports, or like when she's like even just checking our production at the end of the day, she's like, yeah, we're like, we reached that. Oh, okay, we need 5 new patients. Like, so she started, for example, asking all the parents just because of that awareness, like, oh, does blah 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 have any siblings? And boom. So now we got like 3 new patients just from asking that question
Yeah.
next. So
Super,
it's
super
little,
important question.
yeah, yeah. So it's
Yeah.
like good. It's good. I'm happy.
Okay, cool. And then do you plan to do monthly or quarterly assessments on their performance?
100%. I think Beatrice and I, because it's one-on-one, it feels like a little bit more awkward to probably do monthly
Mhm.
with her, like in terms of like assessments. So I do think I want to do it quarterly for sure. But I do plan on having like kind of like a good monthly lunch meeting, or even bi-weekly, let's see, but like initially like monthly, where we just kind of have like block out like 2 hours and we just like kind of power through things. I'll probably bring up some like, hey, I've been noticing in the past month, like these are things that you're shining on. However, I'm also noticing like you're struggling a little bit with XYZ. Is there something I can do to help? Or like, do you need this? And I want that same feedback.
Mm, gotcha. You want to
So
ask them like,
yeah. And so I do plan on like kind of having those evaluations, but I also wanted, so it's a little bit more dynamic um initially, and then quarterly I could be like, hey, we talked about this for the past like few months, but I still notice you're like struggling on this front, so like I can't give you like a good score on this front because I've been bringing it up enough times.
mhm. Okay,
So
okay. How well do you handle that? Where it's like let's just say this meeting is, in your mind, you're kind of like, I gotta tell, not Beatrice, but maybe her or somebody else, like that they need to work on this. I didn't like the way they talked to me here, and I didn't like the way they did this. Would you bring that up in front of everybody in the lunch meeting, especially the part like where they talked to me like this, or you'd bring that up somewhere else? And then how well will you handle it if they're like, well, you did this and this to me too? Like
mm,
almost like a retaliation type of thing. You know what I mean? Where it's like,
yeah, yeah. Um, Personally, I hate confrontation. I'm not like I just think being accusatory is like never good. I get very defensive. Like if someone's like, blah 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 blah, I'm like, well, like I
yeah.
I just naturally go into that role, and it's taken a lot of like work to almost have to take that step back at times and like be like, okay, hold on. Obviously sometimes in the moment you lose like full control.
Yeah.
Um,
Your
you can
mom.
ask my
Yeah.
boyfriend. Like when I'm hangry, like
Yeah.
forget it. But I do think, and it's something I'm just really trying to do and be very aware about. Like, there's been already like mess ups. Like, don't get me wrong. There's things I'm like, oh, you could have done that a little bit better. I'm not trying to do it in the moment. I think
Hmm.
sometimes it's not worth it. Like, I'll just go the next day and be like, hey, how do you think the flow went? Like, for example, I'll just use something like silly, like, hey, I gave you a sheet for like all the questions I want you to ask about oral hygiene and diet. I noticed that you kind of really quickly like skim through it, and I kind of want those questions like answered when you report back to me. Is there a reason? Like I noticed that she didn't do that, like with one of the patients, and I was like a little bit like, that's odd. Like we literally just talked about this like yesterday. Fine, we went through the day. I still asked the questions I had to in the meeting, but like the next day I was like, how do you think like yesterday went? Like when you were talking to the patients, are you feeling comfortable? And she was just like, no. She was like, I felt really awkward with like the clipboard. And like, so before like accusing her of like, you didn't ask all the questions, we tried to talk about like, hey, why do you feel awkward? Like, okay, is there a better method? Do you think instead of you just standing there with the clipboard, maybe you should like do physical tasks while you're like talking with them so it feels more conversational versus like a little reporter? Those little like dynamic questions actually completely changed the way that she started interacting with the parents, like in the back. So like I was like in the sterilization, kind of like listening in, and like dialogue instantly changed with moving forward. She was just like, well, she was like undoing the trays and like all that stuff. She's like, oh, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. And all those questions that I had on there, she just like started like spewing them out. And I was like,
Mm,
okay.
yeah.
So I was like pretty impressed. With that said, going back to your original question, once I get more employees, I hate individual point outs. I would not like that. I would feel really embarrassed and like not feel motivated. Do not want to ever do that. I think if I have a personal conflict with someone, say like someone speaking like rudely to me, I'd rather push them to the side. Sometimes also it's not even worth bringing up depending on like the issue itself. But if it's a consistent issue that I'm noticing like in the overall staff, then that's something to bring up in the meeting. But once again, not being like, well, Beatrice said this about me. So like I want all of you guys to know like this is not okay. But just more of like, hey, I've just been noticing that there's been some like loosey-goosey talk, like that is not appropriate. Like things like that.
Yeah.
But
I like
it
that.
will be hard for me. I know this. It's gonna take, ask me again maybe in like 6 months.
I fired them on the spot. No, I get you.
Forget
Forget it.
it.
No, no, yeah, yeah. Cause that is tough, especially when you're like, you go in there and you're like, hey, I have something specific in my mind. I want to tell you. And you are the leader, right? So you go in
Yeah.
there, but then they are like, well, you do this too. And then you're like, did you just say that in front of what?
Yeah. Yeah.
What? You know what I mean? And you gotta, I don't know, you gotta do whatever you gotta do, right? But at the same time, be a
I
leader.
know. I will be texting you once that happens because I'm actually kind of curious about how I'm going to react to that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure you'll do good. Awesome. So Naomi, what's next?
Okay, so let's see. I am going to be starting to ground market. That's something personally I've been like kind of like keeping off just because I wasn't sure if I was opening on time. I'm trying to like figure out how I want to like speak to like other local businesses and everything. So that's kind of like my goal for the next like week or so, just like creating those lists, starting those conversations with people, and just kind of getting like the word out there a little bit more. I feel like I've been a little bit like tiptoeing around putting my
Yeah.
name out there to say lightly,
Yeah.
but now I'm like, I'm ready. I'm like, all right, little Dente's here. Hi guys.
After a year, it's here. It's here. I think
Yeah.
we're official now. It's here.
But like honestly, I know that like I've done your ground marketing course. I'm still actually like I think I'm in like the last leg of it right now. But if anyone has like any tips, because one of the things I want to do is giveaways, but like with simple things like on my end. However, I like the idea of like getting a couple of like other businesses involved as well. Like, hey, like the toy store down the street, do you want to give like a $10 gift card with each of mine? I feel like people would be receptive to it, but I think I'm struggling actually with like the initial reach out. Like, how do I say this? You have no idea who I am. So I don't know how to like almost like reach out and be like, hi, I'm a new pediatric dental office. I'm doing a giveaway and thought about you. Would you want to be a part of it? I don't know. In my mind, that feels like a little bit awkward, though that probably sounds normal. But if anyone has a script or like
Do
success
you
story.
like let me ask you, like, do you have hygiene kits, right? And stuff like that?
Yeah.
Or like kits for the children, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And do you plan to do events?
Um, I'm still, I'm actually struggling a little bit with finding events here, to be honest.
Okay.
Um, so I would like to. I don't see myself doing tons of them, but I see either sponsoring them or like
Hmm.
giving stuff if I can.
Okay. Well, you just have them in your hygiene kits. But it's honestly, I mean, like we used to do this all the time with our pedo. Like you walk in and then you're like, hey, can I have like some of your information? And like, do
Hmm.
you have an appointment or anything? You're like, no, I just wanted to have some information to put it in our kits, whether the Lil Dente down the street, like that. And then all our patients can kind of like take it in, right? This month we want to sponsor whatever business they are, right? It can be this month we're thinking about health and wellness, or we're thinking about this, and we thought of you guys. And so we're like, let's bring it in. Let's put some information on there. They will love that. They're gonna be like, yes, definitely. Let me give you some more information. Then once you get all that information, you can say, you know what? We're also doing this little raffle thing. It's just $10. $10. That's it. $10, a gift card, whatever. Or you can do whatever you want. And they love it, the patients. And there'll be more exposure for you too. Blah, 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 blah. We'll post it on our Facebook, all this things. They'll do it. And I'm
Oh
like,
my
yeah, okay, yeah.
gosh.
Yeah, it's
Wait,
that
that is
easy.
so good. Oh, I
It's
love that.
in the course, Naomi.
I don't remember this. It must be in that last leg.
Yeah. And I think actually the giveaway part is in Manal's part, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's where I got the idea. So I finally got like the prizes. The one I have like hooked up with is like a really popular local coffee shop here. So I was trying to do something that incentivized the parents as well as like the kids. So they're known for like their coffee beans and stuff. So they're giving me like gift cards as well as like coffee bean bags. So like
Yeah.
that part, I was like, sweet. Nailed
Yeah.
that one.
Honestly, if you do more incentives for like the parents, like wine, bourbon, right?
Mhm.
Like, or like coffee, things like that, they freaking love it, right? But if it's like, here's like a $10 Build-A-Bear workshop, they're like, I, I don't know. You know what I mean? I've tried doing the Build-A-Bear thing a lot, and you're able to go in there and, do events with the kids and everything. But I noticed like, they're like, this is $50. A bear's like, with all the accessories and everything, it's barely, but thank you, but the parents love the
Yeah.
other stuff.
Oh, that's so smart, actually. Yeah, I would actually, yeah, I think I'm gonna look into doing that because there's like a couple of like stores around here, and I was like, oh, do I make this more kid friendly or do I make it more like parent friendly? And so I've been trying to find like a balance because for me personally, if I had a kid, if it's all this sounds so selfish. If it was all for them, it would just be like whatever.
Yeah, you're right. I would have like maybe like one or two hit things in there, but everything else, like, is this for the family? You know what I'm talking about? Kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I love that idea.
Yeah. But yeah, just do that. Awesome. Okay. So with that being said, next week we'll be talking about marketing and branding. So we'll look into that and insurances. But with
Oh,
that
fun.
being said, sign us out.
All right. Well, this is Lil Dente. You can find me on my personal Instagram is Dr. Naomi Sedani. And thank you for everyone who's been DMing, by the way. It's been actually really cool to hear like everyone's stories so far. So it's been fun chit-chatting. And then also my offices is Little Dente Smiles. So definitely follow me there. And this is the making of Little Dente.